everyone, and welcome. I hope that wherever you are, you're safe and well. My name is Sabah, and I am a junior consultant at Cosmic Centaurs. Usually, it's Marilyn, Marie, or Tala up here, but for this special episode of the 2026 Cosmic Conference, I will be your moderator. This marks the final episode of the 7th edition of our annual Cosmic Conference. This year's theme, Grounded and Limitless, Leading Organizations That Survive and Thrive, has been an incredible 3-week journey. We set out to help leaders navigate the regional crisis by bringing together 20 speakers, academics, experts, and practitioners to collectively make sense of what leadership requires in moments like this. We did this across 3 themes. Week 1, Endure. How do we survive periods of uncertainty? Week 2, Adapt. How do we evolve in response to change? And week 3, Thrive. How do we turn the lessons learned in crisis into a competitive advantage, emerging stronger, more innovative, and better prepared for the future? We've hosted 25 webinars, 2 workshops, and 1 executive roundtable alongside remarkable partners and speakers. We're so grateful to everyone who joined and to those listening far off somewhere in the future. Before we start, I have one small request from you. If you attended any or all of our sessions and want to give back in some way, we have one request. Take our survey. We're conducting primary research on leadership in the Arab world, and we have a 4-minute survey that will help us publish a white paper on the topic of leading through uncertainty. Our team will drop the link in the comments. So to kick us off, I want to introduce the topic we will be exploring today. At Cosmic Centaurs, we measure impact not by the amount of dollars we make, but by the number of people we help. Believe it or not, we track the number of leaders and teams we support. This has been central to everything we do over the past 6 years. Last year, we published an impact report as part of our 5-year anniversary. The report captures the story of how Cosmic Centaurs, a small but mighty team, helps leaders build thriving organizations, nurture communities across the world, and contribute to making work better. Today's session is an opportunity to reflect on that impact and on what we have achieved in the last year. Let me tell you first how the session will run, because it's not going to be just me up here. I will invite members of the Team Centaur to come and share stories about our work. Razan is not with us today, but she will be with us in spirit. The session is structured based on our very own theory of change, a framework we stand by and use across our work. It helps us measure the degree to which we deliver on our mission, which is to make work better. Our first chapter, Leaders and Their Organizations, it's about how we enable organizations to deliver by aligning strategies, strengthening leadership, and building cultures and developing capabilities. Our second chapter is about the community and how we share knowledge and build ecosystems through our work publishing thought leadership, investing in research, and developing partnerships. Our third chapter is one I will tell you more about. It's on the society level. We contribute to societal well-being through our CSR initiatives, nonprofit capacity building, and funding education. I have some questions for the team, but of course, I invite you as our audience to share any questions you may have for us, and we would love to answer them. Our team will also drop the link to the impact report in the comments if you're interested to read it. Thank you for being here and for being part of our constellation. So let's start with our work with leaders, teams, and organizations. For this section, I will take us through our 4 service lines. We're going to start with the bread and butter of our work, which is organizational and capacity development. For that, Marie and Leia will be joining me.
Hi, Sabah.
Hi, Leia. Hi, thank you for joining us. Let's start with Marie. A lot of what we do is actually under the broad domain of capacity building, and we act as an extension for the teams, and we do so in different ways. So could you tell us more about the work and its impact?
Sure, I'm happy to tell you more. So as you said, Sabah, what we do is that we augment the capacity of a team. And the request to do that can come in different shapes and forms for each organization or team we work with. It could be their need for a restructure. It could be a cultural change they want to go through, or maybe just improving their efficiency and ways of working. And our methodology is always the same. So the way we approach any new team or a new organization we work with is that we start by assessing the needs. Sometimes they think they need something, but then when we do our discovery, we find out other things and we help them reprioritize. So for our assessment phase, what we do is that we run our survey that is based on our proprietary framework, the omnichannel organization. that looks into all the dimensions of the org, from the strategy to structure, processes, the controls, also, of course, the people and the culture. And this serves as a quantitative assessment, but then we also run interviews we at different levels in the company. We do archival audits, we run desk research, we do benchmarking. And at the end of this phase, which can take, let's say, 3 to 4 weeks, we come back to the leadership with our assessment of their needs. We help them prioritize what they would like to start with. And all of this, of course, in alignment to their strategy and to their business goals. So all the work that we do on augmenting capacity actually serves this ultimate goal, which is delivering on the strategy. And once we do this prioritization session with the leadership, here we switch from being the consultant to becoming the project manager. And we help in leading the implementation on some of the improvements that are needed at the team level. And this is where really the capacity building starts, because we don't do it alone. We do it with the team. So we work hand in hand with the team at the client or at the organization we're working with to start implementing those improvements, upskilling them on the way, making sure they are able also to become independent and run them on their own later on.
Thanks, Marie. It's really interesting, على فكرة, to see how we shift gears depending on what our leaders need. And I can't think of anyone better than you, Marie, to lead the service line, because you're one of the most diligent and structured centaur there is. So thank you, Marie. Now, Leia, over to you. I know that you want to share an anecdote from your experience, but let's start with a question I have for you. What are the most common barriers organizations face when trying to deliver, and how do we approach these types of engagements?
Yeah, thank you, Sabah. It's a great question and I love it. From what we've seen, that most organizations have well-defined strategies at the leadership level, but they struggle with executing it and making it happen in a, let's say, practical way. And it's proven. Only 34% of large organizations deliver on their strategic objectives. So the gap is really in the execution. We usually see that the strategy itself is not the issue. There are many challenges. Sometimes the strategy sounds good at the high level, but teams don't know what it really means for their day-to-day work. Second, everyone is working hard, but sometimes they're not always in the same direction. So here, things don't always connect. Ownership can also get blurry. So initiatives don't move fast or as fast as they could. And there's also visibility. So it's not always easy to see what's progressing, what's stuck, and that can really slow things down. And on top of that, the way teams are working doesn't always support execution because, even with the right strategy, the team's habits or processes or even the tools can get in the way. Now, on how we can approach it, it's really all about the fundamentals and the beautiful basics to get them right. And what we do is that we make execution structured and doable. First, what we do is that we break the strategy into initiatives and clear programs that can be managed. Then we look at what it takes to deliver on the strategy. And what we do here is that we design streamlined processes so teams can move or even make decisions more quickly, if you want. And then we introduce stronger reporting mechanisms. So leadership can clearly track progress, priorities, and even performance throughout the engagement. And this is very essential. And today we're working with a professional services firm, and it's a huge uplift, but where's the investment and time? And you can't imagine, and we discussed it the other day, that how much clarity the executive leadership team has when they can review the performance of the work regularly. Now, let me tell you about some of the structure frameworks we bring in. Of course, this depends on the context, but I have few examples. Strategy cascading, for example, frameworks like Kaplan or the Northern Balance Scorecard or OKRs to align teams, across their functions. Then we have the prioritization frameworks to help teams focus their efforts on the highest impact markets or even opportunities. We also have the project management frameworks like Agile and Kanban-based ways of working, for example, to improve the flow and the execution speed. This could lead to the implementation of a project management tool like Trello, for example, or Microsoft Planner or ClickUp. That sounds really simple in the beginning, but that really changes the way team collaborates. And we also support teams in building the right capabilities. And this is very important. And what we do here is that we deliver hands-on training and implementation support. And all this to make sure that these changes are actually adopted. Because at the end of the day, what matters and the end goal is to make execution just feel structured and doable.
Brilliant, thank you. What you mentioned sounds like beautiful basics, but it's crazy to think how many teams out there operate without them. So now, Leah, I'm curious to hear about your favorite win. What's been your favorite project so far? How did you support the team? And what kind of impact did we have on them?
I can tell you that I have many, but one of my favorite wins, honestly, was our work with the sales team of a global tech company, actually. You weren't there, Sabah, but when we started, they had strong ambitions and a clear direction. But as with many organizations, execution was the challenge. Literally the execution of the strategy, especially at this scale. So there were multiple initiatives happening at the same time, but the problem is that they weren't always connected. It was difficult to track their impact. And this is what we could see with this company. So it was here where we stepped in to bring simply more structure to the execution of their strategy. And our work, I still remember that, focused actually on 4 areas. One, the strategy planning and reporting. And this is the most important one, because what we did in this area is to just bring more structure to how the initiatives were defined, tracked, and even communicated across the teams. Then second, we worked on the processes and methodologies, because it's very important here to streamline the workflows and introduce clearer execution, like we can call it clear execution discipline, if you want, across the teams. And then tools and systems. And this is key because it's also very essential to enable better coordination through what we call the execution tool stack. And last but not least, capability building. On this area, we intervened. We upskilled the team through training and practical frameworks like project management training, stakeholder management. These were very practical topics we covered, and we also intervened at the leadership level. And here's where we supported them through change management, and it was a very impactful session. The project was 1 year long, and a lot went into the work. So as I said, we supported this client for around a year, but the impact it created was so rewarding. We saw how just in a few months, 100% of market coverage was achieved. Teams had a clear understanding of priorities and responsibilities. Progress became more visible. The team celebrated their success more often. Coordination improved across work streams, and there was 2 times faster execution of strategic initiatives. So if you want, ultimately, the team was able to move faster with more confidence, literally with more confidence. And if you ask me why, it's because simply they knew what to focus on, and they knew that their work was contributing to something bigger. They knew it.
Amazing. Leah, I know how much this work meant to you, and I think you and the team delivered some amazing results, and they actually speak for themselves. Now going to Marie, what about you? Do you have a favorite project within the capacity building service line and that you're proud of?
Yeah, of course. Usually we partner a lot, me and Leia, on those. Like we both have a soft spot for strategy execution. And on top of this project that we conducted last year, there's another project that is very dear to my heart, which was with the marketing team of the Misk Art Institute in Saudi Arabia. At the time when we started working with the team, they had a strategy or a goal that was defined. But what we did is that we helped translate it into like tangible projects or strategic initiatives with specific goals. And my proud moment in this project is that we actually didn't do it alone. Like we did it with the team, and the step that always like usually is missed when we establish a new strategy is the capability gap analysis. So a lot of companies actually create their strategy, but then they miss checking internally if they have the capacity to deliver on it. And with this team, what we did is that we took the list of initiatives, I think they were 12 at the time, and we decided with the leader which ones were like to be owned by the team and which ones we could lead as Cosmic, because it required a one-time effort and there was no need to invest time in building the capacity internally. And with that, we partnered with the team on having a streamlined way of making progress on the initiatives, reporting on them. And my most rewarding moment actually was when each team member presented their initiatives to the whole team, showing clear link back to the strategy, flawless execution, KPIs were clear, impact was positioned in a very strategic way. And from that moment on, I knew that they will not need any support because they knew exactly why they were doing what they're doing and how they are measuring the progress. So yeah, this is a project that I really loved.
Thank you, Marie. It's always inspiring to see the depth and breadth of the work we do. And what stands out actually is that building capacity creates potential. But whether the potential is actually used depends on the environment people are operating in. So if people are not feeling safe to speak, to challenge, to show up fully in their teams, even the highest performers will not deliver. So let's bring this to psych safety. Marie, you can stay with us for a moment. And Leia, thank you for being here. And hopefully we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Sabah. I enjoyed it.
Thank you. Bye. So, Marie, psych safety was one of the big announcements in the last year's five-year anniversary. 12 months later, you've achieved some really remarkable milestones between certifying your first practitioner cohort, which I'm proud to be part of, and delivering some amazing learning experiences for leaders. Could you tell us about the last year and some of the milestones that we achieved with psych safety?
Of course, like this is a topic that I love talking about. So stop me if I take a lot of time. So yeah, indeed, psychological safety was always part of our tools from the day the company was born. It's a tool that is very useful and important at organization development level and also at leadership development. But what happened last year is that at the 5-year anniversary, we announced the official partnership with the Fearless Organization SCAN, which is the company behind the tool that measures psychological safety, co-founded by the woman behind psychological safety, Amy Edmondson. So the celebration was because we are actually the first partners in the region. And we are also their Arabic language partner. So we helped on translating the scan, the survey, the report, the website, everything to Arabic to make it more accessible and like close to our regional context. In terms of what we did to launch this new service line, we noticed that we needed to build a lot of education and awareness about what psychological safety means. In our part of the world, it's a bit less popular than what we see in the practices of companies in the US or in Europe. Here, sometimes it's a bit confused with the employee happiness and well-being, which is a totally different concept, because what Amy Edmondson was able to prove is that psychological safety is the #1 indicator of team performance. So it's a business measure more than it is an employee engagement measure. Of course, it leads to great engagement, but that's not what it is built for. And so we created a lot of content and awareness around it. We published many articles. We launched our webinar series on psychological safety and focus that we are coming back to after the conference is finished. We also published an article in Inc. Arabia talking about what it means in our region and how it can be a strategic lever. we organized a roundtable, which really gave us lots of insight. This roundtable we did in October in Dubai with leaders from the region, talking about how psych safety shows up differently in our workplaces. And recently, only last week, actually, we organized another roundtable with the Saudi Leadership Society in Riyadh. And there's so much interest around psych safety in this part of the world. Our role here is really to help organization and teams know how to integrate it and integrate it well for the right reasons. And so for that, we do a lot of interventions at different levels in a company. At an org level, we usually always start by running an organizational-wide webinar to talk about the concept, to make sure that we understand what it means, but also how we can integrate it as individuals in our day-to-day, because it's not only a managerial or a leadership concept to adopt, it's also to be adopted at each of us or at individual levels. And then we also run training sessions for managers, let's say middle managers, because this layer really has a lot of pressure. They manage up and they manage down at the same time. And there's a lot of practices that, if they are integrated at this level, can have a great ripple effect on the organization as a whole. So for that, we also run team scans. So at the level of each team, answering the psychological safety survey to really guide the team on the areas where they need the most improvement. And another, actually, in our partnership with the Fearless Org, other than helping companies and running the scan with them or with teams, we also are able to certify other people to run the scan. And these can be coaches, consultants. We ran a first cohort this year, graduated 10 practitioners, which we're very proud of. We also ran a certification program for an HR team and a highly ranked company here in Dubai. So these are like different interventions we can do at different levels. And we are really now seeing more and more attraction around psychological safety, which is really, we're really happy to see in the region.
Amazing, thank you. Actually, it's really important to share awareness about psych safety, especially as you mentioned. It's not just an indicator for well-being; it's actually a business performance indicator. It's like an indicator for the top, highest performing teams. I have another question for you. Since you mentioned our partnership with the Fearless Organization Scan and the research that we're constantly conducting in the region, do you have any new insights that emerge from the research that are specific to our region? And can those learnings support our leaders today in navigating the prolonged crisis we're living?
Yeah, so actually there's a lot of global data around psych safety, and it is very compelling. Like if you look at the global data, you will see that teams that score high on psychological safety, they have 12% higher productivity, 27% lower turnover, and 29% more innovative behavior. The concept is used extensively across the USA and Europe, as I said, and by global companies like Accenture, Coca-Cola, Merck, Microsoft, Adobe, Volvo, a lot of them, like most of the Fortune 500 companies adopted. But what it means for us is that there's not enough data about our region, because companies from this region has been shy on that, maybe. And now that we are here as a partner, we want to really turn this around, and we want to have more data coming out from our region, which is why we join efforts with the Fearless Organization Scan on having more companies from here participating in the global research they run each year. So last year they ran it, they published the report, and it is actually not quite published yet. It's coming out next week. We have really good insights about the relationship of psych safety with loneliness, with quitting thoughts, also a lot with the highest paying person in the company effect. So you will see how in this report psych safety correlates with all of these and how it is influenced by them. There's a lot of data across industries, across departments within the same company. So we will be sharing this data soon once it's publicly available and talk about it. The thing is, in our region, global studies are really important, but they don't translate the same, because we often blend, let's say, different nationalities and cultures. So let's say in Dubai alone, we have almost 200 different nationalities working together. And there's a different culture related to respect for hierarchy, how we give feedback, how we speak up, do we challenge the leadership or not. So we are really hoping to have more studies and research from the region. I will say one last thing. I know that I took maybe a lot of time. We ran a research for 3 years with Professor Connie Hadley, which was on our one of our webinars for the conference, about the impact of rituals on psychological safety. And this is a research rooted in our region with teams that work here. So we worked with a company on a field study with teams implementing different rituals, and we were able to prove that strong ritual practices actually increase psych safety by 20%. They also increase stronger connection to purpose by 23%, and they lower quitting thoughts by 28%. So a lot of our practice on psych safety also comes back to the beautiful basics again, and to implementing team rituals.
That's a really important point. It highlights how essential it is for our region to be represented in this kind of research. Because, as you said, the context is very different, especially in the GCC, where the teams are incredibly diverse, and understanding those cultural nuances become critical for leaders. And it also shows why it matters to us to contribute on this research, because we're not just being studied, but actually actively representing our culture in the thinking and the data shaping this conversation. And I remember that you once told me that one of the reasons why I got hired was that I posted about psych safety on LinkedIn, because it's, as you said, it's a topic is not very well known in the region, but increasingly there's awareness on it, and we're playing part in this. So thank you, Marie.
Thank you so much.
Now we spoke about psychological safety and how it creates the conditions that open doors for people to grow. I want to now bring our capability development lead, Tala, to take us into that layer.
Hi, everyone. This is so fun to be on the other side.
Hi, Tala. So everyone now is discussing future-ready skills. Yet most of what we focus on at Cosmic Centaurs is actually the human skills, those that AI cannot actually replace. What are some of the programs that you ran this year, and what did they enable in our leaders?
Yeah, it's hard to believe that we saw the service line really take off this time last year when it was our 5-year anniversary. And if I reflect on the last 12 months, I think that, first of all, I'm so proud of everything that we've done and also the impact we're able to create. I think when we say future-ready leaders, we view that as almost like emergent, because in our world today, there's so much uncertainty, as this whole conference has shown us. There's so much that we are navigating between, the economy, but then also the disruption of AI. And so helping leaders kind of find their footing in, well, what is the skill set that I'm required to develop, and how do I develop that, has been quite the journey. We sat here 12 months ago saying the capability development service line is officially there. And I'll tell you a little bit about what we've sensed from what leaders need, and also how we've responded, and what that, ultimately drove for them. I think I'll start with the first one, which is a custom training program that we did for one of the Big Four. Actually, they reached out to us to say that some of our leaders are, they had a clear set of skills that they wanted. And what we did was we worked with our partners at CETA, so shout out to Sandra and Maria and everybody on the team, to really distill, well, what is underpinning those challenges? We found them to be across 4 categories. Leading themselves, so developing their range as leaders, making sure that they are driving a high-performing team, driving growth for the firm, which is the point that I want to zoom in on, and really making sure that the ecosystem and its needs are being responded to by this clearly very big player. And so what was really beautiful was the fact that we were able to design a holistic leadership journey for them, centered around how to drive firm growth, but not a sales training, not a marketing training. It was really about driving growth through the power of relationships. That is one of those, like you said, uniquely human skills. How do I leverage my relationships? How do I build my capacity to be a very, humane leader in the way I speak to my clients, in the way that I originate new opportunities? And that training was a huge moment for us. I'm very proud of that work. The team did an amazing job. Our partners on the other side from this firm were incredible. And it was just such a beautiful journey that we took them on. And it resulted in some impact, yes, like in terms of outcomes of the training, but the leader there gave us a very tall challenge. He was like, I'm going to come back in 6 months, Cosmic Centaurs and CETA, and I'm going to see how many net new leads are added to our pipeline. And we love a challenge like that, because it actually allows us to root our learning experiences in actual business outcome. So yes, we can come, yes, we can have a great training, yes, it can be amazing, but does it deliver on the business needs? And that's really underpinned what's been central to the way in which we approach training and development, because we don't believe in doing it in a vacuum. And so all of our, making it culturally relevant, making it relevant to this firm's context, making sure that it drives business outcomes, like all of those pillars of our programs that we really believe in came to life in this one. And so that's kind of like the first big milestone. And when we say future ready skills, I think like the main thing is it's the human-centric skills. It's the thing that the bots will not do. The robots cannot take this from us, not just yet, And so we've really been focusing on that. And that's kind of one of the really amazing moments of this past year.
Thank you, Tala, for this. This was actually my first project with the team, and it felt like an intense stretch in the best way possible. Learning so much and so quickly, especially designing the project and then seeing it come to life. I could really see how it resonated with the directors we worked with, and that they found it insightful, relatable, and also genuinely practical for the challenges they face day to day. And also it reflects how we design it. Let's sneak a bit into the future for a moment. What do you sense will be the next growth edge for leaders, and also like what has this prolonged crisis that we're living right now changed for us?
Yeah, first of all, it's crazy that was your first big mission with the Centaurs. Well done. Actually, we had you come to Dubai, and that was just a beautiful moment when our distributed team can come together and create value in person. So loved having you be part of that. Yes, so to your question, I love this like glimpse into the future. I think it's really central to what we've been talking about through this whole conference. There's no speaker that we had that didn't come up here and kind of reaffirm this idea that we are living in a current prolonged crisis, and that the best way for organizations to maintain their future-proof stance is to be ready for any crisis to come, any level of uncertainty. We build that muscle within the organization and our leaders in order to make sure that whatever comes next, we're prepared for it. Marilyn and I spoke about it in her keynote on inventing and innovating. We actually heard Loic yesterday talk a lot about it when he was saying how, like, actually as organizations, like, I don't think this is this idea of a crisis is going anywhere. So we need to be ready to adapt, to pivot, to innovate. And so what leaders need is the muscle to be able to do that. And we explored this topic in our conference 2 years ago in depth, and I'm going to bring it back. And it's this idea that leaders need to build their range. A leader is going to have to manage so many things at once. And in complexity, we use this concept of polarities as a way to help us navigate it. How can you drive performance when you need to also make sure that your team is engaged? How do I make sure that I'm building the present and making sure it operates while keeping one eye on the future? This idea of a leader being able to do both and, not either or, is what's going to set the leaders apart from those who really take on the next wave of uncertainty, from those who are unable to manage it. And, very practically, if you're wondering, Tala, what does this mean? I have an invitation to everyone. We have a workshop. The conference is not over. I refuse to let it end. We have a workshop that's taking place on April 22nd, and we'll drop the link to register in the chat. This workshop is really a glimpse into how you as a leader can develop your range. How can you manage uncertainty through the lens of polarities? How can you help build that muscle to make sure that actually you do have that leadership edge, that you are able to manage both and you can navigate complexity or uncertainty? You have that skill. So we'd love to have you there. It was a great session. We ran it with the INSEAD NAA UAE chapter, and we had some great feedback, and we look forward to bringing an online version. So for whoever is out there and wherever you are based, everyone is welcome to join it. And, you can see the Centaur sparkle dust that we create when it comes to these leadership development experiences.
Yes, amazing. And what you said really resonate. I remember yesterday, Marilyn and Jose spoke about the idea of dealing with uncertainty, and that confidence is not knowing the answer, but being knowing that you will get there, you'll know the answer. So thank you, Tala, for this, and I look forward to seeing everyone at the workshop on April 22nd. And now I'm going to let you go, Tala, and I'm going to invite Hadil to share more about how we support not just individual leaders and organizations, but also teams, and specifically leadership teams. Hi, Hadil.
Hi, Sabah.
Thank you for joining us. So could you tell us more about the work that we do with the leadership teams, and specifically, what are the common challenges that they face?
For sure. But before I dive into the challenges and the common patterns that we see across leadership teams, I want to start off by saying that from our experience working with leaders and organizations, we noticed that leadership teams are really the most powerful lever of organizational success, because they are the ones that shape the entire organization, whether it's their culture, the decisions, the performance, all cascade from the top. And what we see is actually a lot of leadership teams don't operate like a true team. And we like to make that distinction between group work and teamwork. And even the data proves this, actually. So 94% of executives say that their C-suite is not well integrated. And we see that the similar dysfunctions in leadership teams are very well explained by Patrick Lencioni's 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. And maybe someone from the team can drop the book in the chat. And he says that the 5 dysfunctions of teams are the lack of trust, fear of conflict, so they're very conflict avoidant, lack of commitment, avoidance of accountability, and lack of results. And this is the one I want to zoom into for a minute, because really, like a lot of the times, executives are over-focused on their kind of functional goals versus the goals of the whole organization. And the leadership teams at the top really need to have that, what we call the enterprise orientation. They need to be thinking about making decisions in a way that has the good of the whole organization at heart.
Thank you. Thank you for this. And could you tell us, how do we help others address these challenges? Because as you mentioned, they are essential and core to preserving the direction of the organization, and also to protect the teams to ensure they are performing.
Yes, of course. So we have a dedicated service line for supporting leadership teams, and we help them across 3 core areas. One of them is we help design and facilitate leadership team offsites. These are high impact engagements that are focused on strategic alignment, decision making, and strengthening the trust and really the bond within the team. And what we noticed a lot, that there's often kind of an unresolved tension and things that are left unsaid between, like, within a team. And offsites are a great opportunity to kind of unpack that. In one engagement, actually, we identified this issue, and it's a common also in our cultural context. So there's a lot of cultural studies out there that prove this, and we are very avoidant to giving feedback and having conflict. And so what we did is we introduced a letters exercise. So we had them write letters for each other, and it was really, generally, we like feedback as a tool for helping teams establish these norms around giving feedback that really create a sense of accountability. They create peer-to-peer pressure, and ultimately push for excellence. The second piece is operating models. So we help design operating models for leadership teams. And similar to what Leah was sharing earlier, this is really about providing them with a structure and what we like to call the beautiful basics, getting that right. And so what we do is we design and embed these operating models that really look at the day-to-day of these leadership teams. This could be everything from creating strategic alignment, as Leah was also sharing, clarifying their priorities, their roles, designing KPIs, but also looking at how they make decisions from at day-to-day. Do they have a process for it? Do they have a structure for it? Looking at their ways of working, do they have norms for how they not just make decisions, but how they collaborate, how they communicate, how they address conflict? And then also, very importantly, is helping them design and implement cadences, their meeting rhythms. And our focus is really on bridging this gap between strategy and execution. And we did this work with Astra Labs, actually, and as Roland, their CEO, has shared the other day in the webinar, that their challenge wasn't the strategy itself, but how do we translate it into consistent decisions and follow through. And he said something really memorable that I want to quote. He said, "You can't scale energy and telepathy, but what scales is clarity, accountability, and cadence." And this is really what we help them do, is redesign their leadership team cadence, their decision-making, and their operating rhythm as a whole. The last piece that I want to talk about is capability development. And you will see this across most of our work, like that we don't leave a team, we leave a team more equipped to handle the future than we have left them. And that's where capability development comes in. And our work always starts with measuring and creating a sense of awareness, either on a team basis, so we conduct a leadership team assessment, and also on an individual basis. So Marilyn, our CEO, is certified in conducting the leadership circle profile, which we have found is very powerful in helping leaders really identify their strengths.
Thank you, Hadil, and it's really important work that you've done in this domain. And actually, we're about to launch our leadership team assessment, and I have to say it was really exciting to be part of building this assessment with you and Razan and the team. You spoke about measurement and how we help leadership teams in measuring to investigate maybe the problems that they have and how and we help them work on them. Could you please tell us more about this assessment and how it's going to be used, or like a sneak peek into this assessment?
Yes, I'm very excited that we're officially launching this. And I had a lot of fun doing this work with you and Razan, and really look forward to starting to implement it with our clients very, very soon. So the leadership team assessment is a holistic framework that evaluates how effectively a leadership team is operating. And is again looking at them as a unit, not just as individuals, because they do have those like functional roles, but also their roles within the broader team. And the model really draws on leading research on team effectiveness, and also systems thinking and organizational design principles, including work by Mobius, and obviously our own experience working with executives across industries. And what the model looks at, it assesses the effectiveness of leadership team across 5 dimensions. So the first one is the purpose. So are we as a leadership team aligned on a clear and shared direction? Are we focusing on what matters most for the organization as a whole? As I mentioned earlier, they need to have that kind of enterprise orientation. The second piece is connection and inclusion. Do we have the trust and openness that we need to speak up, to challenge each other, to work effectively as a team? And then the third is all about order, so about really the kind of structure that they have as a team. So do we have clear roles? Do we have a clear ways of working? Do we have a decision-making process that enable us to operate smoothly and effectively? The fourth one is exchange, and this looks at how healthy our flow of information is. Are we supporting each other? And is the contribution across the team equal? And then lastly, there's the system-wide alignment piece. So how the leadership team connects with, influences, and aligns the broader organization and even the external system, so outside the organization. And I'd like to say that what makes our model unique is that it's specifically designed for leadership teams. So very few assessments out there actually distinguish a leadership team from any other team, because they have a unique role within the organization. For example, one element that we have incorporated is the systems thinking piece, inspired by all of our learnings from the last conference, which was all about this topic. And for example, this includes questions around if there is too much dependency on the CEO, for example. Are they creating a bottleneck? It also looks at how leadership teams can sense and respond to changes in the external environment or to the market that they're operating in. And we've talked about this piece a lot throughout the current conference. We also, I like to say, is that we put an emphasis on how leadership teams allocate their time and attention. So actually, Loic mentioned this yesterday in the conference, in the webinar, that the CEO needs to be intentional about how they bring people together and how they spend time with the leadership team. And it's a common pattern that we see that a lot of executives spend more time within their functions, but not together as a team. So overall, our assessment is designed to be holistic and practical. And I think thinks of leadership teams as a system and looks at their role also in the broader systems that they're part of, whether it's the organization or the wider market context. I'm very happy to be officially launching this today. I'm sure the team will be dropping the link to our landing page in the chat. And yeah, if you are an executive and you're listening to us, please register your interest for taking the survey.
Thank you, Hadil. I'm really excited for to seeing this come to life, especially that I know how thorough the research was that we did, and also how we validated our model with experts and executives and even coaches at an executive level. And this is exactly the kind of creation we aim to bring to life. If you remember, Marilyn and Tala touched upon this in their keynote the other day, and also in the webinar with Imad, we said al-haja al-ikhtira, or the idea of invention is born out of necessity. So thank you, Hadil, and hopefully it's going to be a brilliant IP of ours.
Yeah, developing IP is always a really rewarding process.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Hadil. Now we're going to move to talk about our community and society. Actually, from our earliest days, community has been at the heart of everything we do. As I mentioned earlier in my introduction, we measure success by the number of people we support, we empower, and we connect. Today, our community includes thousands of members from over 90 countries with a strong presence in the Levant and the GCC. We have a broad range of people who benefit from our insights, like middle managers, like leaders, like executives and teams, and so on. We actually bring together leaders who are thoughtful, curious, and committed to growth. And we do that primarily through our insights and marketing engine. So I'm going to bring up Zena here. Hi, Zena.
Hi, Sabah.
Hi. Zena, you actually play a key role in shaping how we share our knowledge and engage with that wider community. Can you tell us more about what we do?
For sure. So I'm going to give two framings. First, we aim to inspire leaders. We bring speakers, stories, and lessons to help them dream and imagine what they can achieve. Content and campaigns. We meet leaders at key moments. So, for example, the Make It Count is our year-end campaign to help leaders push through the last 6 weeks of the year. Another one you can expect is the Intentional Summer campaign, where we share inspiration, good reads, and resources. Summer usually is a slower time, so we focus on content that helps you reflect and be inspired. And there's our podcast, Center Stage, in which we share the stories and conversations with experts and guests. We're currently in our 4th season. And of course, it goes without saying that we have our Cosmic Conference, an annual moment where we bring together leaders, experts, and our community to reflect on the most relevant leadership themes at the time. It's a major effort that brings the whole team together. We are very tired, but very fulfilled. So that's on the inspire side. On the other side, our focus is enabling leaders. And actually, one of our values is compassion, which means we don't just empathize with what a leader is going through. we do something about it. So we offer resources, tools, and practical solutions to help them. Take, for example, our Cosmic Conversations. They bring teams together, and they're great for leaders who are introverted or looking to boost engagement or even want to get to know their team better. We also do primary research, and that's a big one for us on core topics that, such as, for example, our rituals, and we have that published as an article in the Harvard Business Review. And we have our ongoing research as well on leadership in the Arab world. We believe we have something to teach the world about leadership. And just like you mentioned, Sabah, earlier, please take our survey. It's only 4 minutes, and the insight will also help me publish a white paper on that topic later on. In addition to that, we have our worksheets and toolkits. We have over 30 worksheets published and many other resources on our websites, on our website, that range in reflection tools to templates, and of course our community events similar to the one coming up on April 22nd are all there to help enable leaders to meet and learn from each other. We will drop the link to register in the chat to that event. And and I think what's important to mention about that, Sabah, is that we make this knowledge accessible, and we do all of this for free. One principle we follow is that we share what we learn with the world, and our webinars are open to everyone on LinkedIn, and we extend them through our website, YouTube channel, podcasts, and so on. So it's very important to us that everyone can learn. And finally, when it comes to the impact of this, the most rewarding part of all of this is hearing how many leaders gain value from these efforts. Our community writes to us, gives us feedback, and it means a lot to us. And that's how we know we achieved our goal. Every download, every share, it really helps us deliver our mission.
Thank you, Dana. It's really amazing to see how the work we're putting to engage our community and like how you're doing that. My favorite one is actually the Cosmic Conversations. I usually play it with my friends, and it's really nice to connect with people on a deeper level. Also, kudos to you and Isabel for the work that you do. And I have to say, Dana, you are the creative mind behind this conference and how it comes to life. I'm constantly inspired by the way you develop the content and bring it together in such authentic, cosmic way. So thank you, Zena.
Thank you, Sabah.
Okay, so now let me take a few moments on my own here to zoom out and talk about how our work extends into the wider community. We've been focusing on leaders and organizations, and for us, there is also a broader question, how this work creates impact beyond the people we directly support. And at the core of this is actually social impact. Building on what Zena said, it's about how we share our leadership and organizational practices and expertise more widely and making them accessible to communities that don't usually have access to this kind of support. And we do this in a few ways. One is through platforms like this, like Zena said, the conference, where we open conversations, bring forward what leaders are navigating, and support them through it. And we also run a number of CSR initiatives. Some are simple, community-driven, like our Ramadan initiative, where our team in Dubai set up refreshment stations for delivery drivers during fasting hours outside their homes. Others are more focused and more on the long-term social impact. For example, we've set out a seed fund to support girls' education in Lebanon. And I think the team will drop the link in chat if you would like to support. And more broadly, we've been able to extend this work across the region through more than 30 pro bono engagements, partnerships with over 20 organizations, and delivering free workshops on more than 50 key skills. And more recently, we've been working closely with Teach for Lebanon, a nonprofit organization with a mission of providing quality education to children across Lebanon. We're currently supporting them in refining their theory of change and strengthening how they measure their impact and shaping how they communicate it. The goal here is to help them better capture and communicate the real difference they are making. And personally, this is very close to my heart because coming from the nonprofit sector, I've seen how strong leadership and organizational practices create a ripple effect that leads to real and lasting impact for communities and the people they serve. And on this, I want to say that given the humanitarian crisis unfolding in Lebanon right now, we've put together a list of organizations that are providing critical support on the ground to displaced people and those in need. If you're in a position to support, we'll be sharing the link in the comments for you to donate. And now, to take us to our final chapter, let's turn the lens inward and talk about practicing what we preach at Cosmic Centaurs. Everything we've talked about, from capacity, from leadership, from safety and capability, we actively work on building this within our team. And to explore this and how we build this culture internally, I want to bring Zainab here. Hi, Zainab.
Hi.
Zainab, you're really the one keeping us all on track. And Marilyn jokes that you are actually our real boss, who bring our culture together day to day. So I'm curious to know your perspective on this. Could you tell us what are some of the ways this past year we practiced what we preached at Cosmic Centaurs?
Yes, thank you, Sabah, for having me. I'm really glad that you asked this because this is something that we really care about at Cosmic. Then I mentioned our HBR article, The Surprising Power of Team Rituals. And the rituals can make a significant difference in engagement, and we show this in our article. They also make a difference in connection and overall team effectiveness. So a big part of our work is helping leaders build strong, healthy teams. And we also hold ourselves accountable or to the same standards. How we do it, we are very intentional about how we spend our time together. We implemented, for example, more than 22 different rituals. We use them to structure our days, our interactions. Each ritual serves a different purpose. We have some to help us navigate celebrations, others to navigate hardships. We have some for fun, we have some to increase connection, and mainly for growth and to learn from each other. I will start first by learning, since it is a core ritual for us. We invested last year a lot in learning because we believe that every centaur needs to be an expert at what he or she does. So we have, for example, boot camps, grow days, visiting voyagers, and learning collectives. So this is for the learning part. We also created a space for honest reflection and feedback. We ran many retrospectives where we gave each other feedback, even when it was not easy. We focused on communicating early and calling out red flags. Of course, we didn't forget to celebrate. We had many stops, like, for example, ice cream parties, get-togethers, where we created moments of connection beyond work, because the human side is very important for us. We didn't forget also to align on the future. We intentionally created space to think about the future, especially during our offsites. We held these together to think about our strategy, our strategic initiatives, and we held each other accountable on delivering on those. So if I want to look back on this year, there was a lot of persistence, a lot of Slack follow-ups, I think you know, but it was a clear choice that we made every single day.
Thank you, Zainab. Thank you. And I really love how from the rituals you mentioned, it shows a balance between supporting each other, supporting our well-being, and at the same time supporting our learning and growth on a self, on a team, on an organization level. So you're actually practicing what we preach. And Zainab, we always say that culture is a competitive advantage, and it's so true for us. So beyond the work itself, how would you describe the kind of environment that we've intentionally built with the team and what it feels like to be part of it?
Yes, thank you for this question. Actually, I would describe Cosmic Centaurs as a place to belong. Because each person brings their own strength and a personality. But we have a strong sense of identity through our values and the way we work together. So we share the same cosmic values. And I think what makes it real is that we don't just talk about things like psychological safety, we actually practice these every day, at every task, in every meeting, in every ritual. Cosmic is a place where personally I can speak up, I can be myself, I can take risks, and all the way I feel supported by the team, and the leadership team. I want to share something with you. Part of my job, for example, is to follow up on tasks and deliverables. In many places, this might feel like uncomfortable or there might be some tension around it, but here it's actually welcomed. So the team, the centers would like to joke that they are afraid of my reminders, but in reality, no. Their feedback is like, thank you for the nudge, thank you for reminding me, or okay, how we can work this to fix this together, or please help me to take this to the finish line. So this kind, these measures, or this the way we work together, over time, it has built trust between us and created space for accountability that feels natural in the way we work together.
Thank you, Zainab. I actually want to echo what you said. It's always great to have you with us and to keep us on track. So thank you, Zainab, on my behalf and behalf of all the team.
Thank you.
Okay, so the stories shared today are a reflection of our purpose and how we deliver impact. At Cosmic Centaurs, we exist to build organizations that strive and deliver while making the workplace a happy place. We believe these two goals are not at odds, but are in fact mutually reinforcing. So thriving organizations emerge when people within them experience purpose, trust, safety, connection, and clarity. When these elements are present, organizations perform better and people flourish. The number and stories that we shared are a reflection of how our small but mighty team made meaningful change in the lives of many people over the past 6 years, and I'm pretty sure there is so much more to come. To wrap this up, I will invite our founder and CEO, Marilyn, for her closing remarks.
Thank you. Thank you, Sabah. First of all, you're an amazing host. And also, listening to everybody speaking today, I am making an official statement that you are all required to host webinars in our future editions because you've all been so incredible at representing the work that we do.
Thank you.
Usually I'm the one who gets to stand here. If you go back into the last 3 weeks of webinars, I've been the host of not all, but many of the sessions that we had. And it has meant so much to me this time to see every member of the team get to be the face of Cosmic Centaurs and to hear you share in your own voices the impact of the work that we do. And of course, these things always make me a bit emotional. I was feeling a lot of things at the same time, impressed by all of you and how eloquent you are and how well you speak of the impact that we deliver. Of course, I felt really proud in what we built, whether, and also seeing how excited you are about what we build, whether it's our IP, whether it's the ways in which we support leaders and organizations and teams. I'm also really grateful for the journey that we've shared together. This year, we also celebrated our 6-year anniversary. And we've really had such a wonderful journey so far. And I'm sure more to come with each other and with the leaders and the teams that we are privileged to support. And it's always really nice to hear, the impact of what we've been able to create over and over again over the years. And so to close off the conference, I want to start by acknowledging each of you, the team behind all of this. I always say that I get to be the pretty face of all the hard work that you put in the background. What our audience has seen over the past 3 weeks was built by this small but mighty team who delivered more than 20 webinars. We have 2 in-person events. We did 3 virtual sessions and workshops. And we did, I say we, but I should say you did this on top of everything else that we're carrying. Work, of course, life, and in many cases, in the last few weeks, a very real and very difficult personal circumstances. And what you created wasn't just volume, it was quality. You know, some of our speakers, and I shared this with you, told us, and these are speakers who get invited to global conferences, who've seen the best of the best. They told us how genuinely surprised they were by the level of preparation, the thoughtfulness, the care that went into every single session. And I think that says everything. So to Team Centaur, thank you for carrying this with rigor, because we do have excellence as a top value, but with heart and with a real standard that I think, shadows any global benchmark. I'm really very proud of you. And I don't know if I say it enough, but you guys have done beautiful. And just the speed, the rigor, the execution, making sure we managed our community, delivering the takeaways, running these webinars, flawless, beautiful, deep work, and never sacrificing speed for excellence. So first of all, this conference is a tribute to all of you and your hard work. And of course, our chef d'orchestre of the conference, Tala, who makes sure that we all play our instruments at the same time. I also, of course, want to thank our speakers. You know, we had more than 20 speakers, and all of them said yes on an incredibly short notice, because this entire conference was something we decided to bring to life just 2 weeks before the kickoff date. And yet they all showed up. They showed up with stories, honesty, decades of experience where they were leading, building, failing, learning, and also for some studying leadership in all of its complexity. And what they shared with us is wisdom that usually takes years to access. And they gave it to this community in a matter of hours. And that is true generosity and true partnership. And we don't take that lightly. So to all of our speakers and contributors, thank you. And then, of course, I want to acknowledge the community that has formed around us over the years and showed up for the conference. Across the 3 weeks, we had more than 1,000 people join us across our webinars and sessions, more than 100 show up in workshops and in-person spaces. The podcast version of the conference has been downloaded 500 times, and this just blows us away. So thank you for showing up with curiosity and openness and always a willingness to engage. It's what turns content into community, and it's something we don't take for granted. When I think about everything that's been shared over these 3 weeks, you know, we spoke about impact today, and our impact is, of course, you know, we look at the sessions and the downloads and the number of people who joined us. But I think the real impact of what we do is what happens next. In a way, the real impact of what we do is carried by someone else. If even 5, 10, or 20 leaders walk away from the last 3 weeks and choose to show up a little more intentionally, to listen more deeply, to lead with courage, to hold space with a bit more humanity, then the ripple effect of that is enormous. And that's why we exist, and that's why we wake up every day. And it's impossible to talk about leadership today without acknowledging the difficulty of the world that we're living in, a world that over the last few weeks has felt heavy, uncertain, of course, impossible to make sense of. But what makes this work, the work of leading with intention, with humanity, with responsibility, that's what matters. So more than anything, I hope that we've created over the past few weeks stays with you, not just as ideas, but as choices in how you show up tomorrow, in how you lead your teams, in how you listen, decide, support, and challenge. And with that, it's officially a wrap on the 2026 Cosmic Conference. It was titled Grounded and Limitless, Leading Organizations That Survive and Thrive. Thank you all for being a part of this, for showing up, and for choosing to be better leaders every day. We're incredibly grateful.
We are here for a final bow. bringing back all the centaurs. Did I miss anyone? All right. Well done, everyone. Congratulations to the whole team and everyone who attended. Thanks for tuning in.